Hello, you guys, and welcome back to the Inner Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Carolina, and I'm so grateful that you're listening today to talk about something that is very, very close to my heart, which is how to improve your body image. This is something that I work on time and time again with myself, with my clients, and it's also something that I have shared a lot of content on the internet about because it has been a big part of my inner growth journey. It's something I have learned a lot from, and that has really helped me improve my confidence and my health and my connection with myself. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about it because I realized as I was talking to some clients and sending them resources, as I was looking through my archive of podcast episodes, that even though I have about 200 episodes, now this is the 203rd episode, I haven't made an episode dedicated to this topic. I've touched on it in a few different episodes, but I wanted to just record a full one all about this specific topic to help you as much as possible, to provide you with resources, with things that have helped me, and hopefully as a result, it will help you as well so that you can just find more appreciation for your body, find more peace when it comes to your physical appearance, to your body image, and hopefully it will help you also glow from the inside out as a result. So with all of that said, let's get into it and let's get growing. I wanted to just fill you guys in a little bit on my journey when it comes to my personal body image. I'm going to keep this brief, but when I was growing up, my personal background and experience was one of someone who was always the petite one in school. Like, I was always the shortest of the class, and I was the late bloomer. I had like literally no curves. I was just like the tiny little girl in the class. And so growing up, a lot of people would call me like Carolzinha in Portuguese, which means little Carol or little Caro. And so I had, for a lot of my life, identified and created like my ego, like my identity around being quote unquote tiny. That was when I was growing up, when I was a kid, right? So as I got older, and after I moved to the US, when I turned, I think it was 14, I got my period for the first time. And once I hit puberty and once my hormones started to change, my body started to change too. And I think that for me was probably the moment when I first became way more aware of my physical appearance and my body as a woman, as a girl, because I started to experience different changes in my looks, especially in my boobs, in my butt, in everything really, and like the hair that was growing in my body. And I think that was the first moment that I remember I became more aware of my physical appearance in that way. Though growing up, I was always someone that liked, wearing perfume, taking care of myself, and like wearing a cute outfit. Like I was always into that stuff. But in terms of my physical appearance, that was the first moment. And I think with time, and with these changes, I maybe started to create certain things that I felt were insecurities of mine inside of my head. Maybe, certain things I compared in my body to other people's bodies. And, everyone has different insecurities. Like that is something that is pretty much a commonality between every single human on earth. There are parts of your body that you are going to be a little bit more self-conscious than other parts of your body. And the same thing applies to everyone. That said, what we feel insecure about, what I feel insecure about, is different than someone else. Like maybe someone else is like super insecure about their arms, but for me, it's a part of my body that like I really like, or I don't really even pay attention that much to. Or someone could be really insecure about their hair, and for you it's not. Or maybe you could be really insecure about your tummy, and someone else literally doesn't even care. Or boobs or butt, like literally, you get my point. That is all to say that I remember puberty being the moment where I first started to experience some of these issues. And I think for many, many people, these issues kind of like continue through their entire life. And they go through their entire adulthood feeling insecure about their body and judging themselves. And I feel like for me, a big reason why I like to talk about this and I think it's important is to, one, normalize it and, kind of like show you on the other side of this microphone, on the other side of this screen, of this podcast, that you're not alone if you feel insecure about something. But there are different things that you can do to embrace your body and to learn to accept it in a way and work with it and honor it and be grateful for it. And as a result, you will probably feel more confident and you will probably be able to just enjoy your life way better too. So I definitely feel like over the last couple of years, I've been way more proactive about my body image in the sense of really looking at my shadows, looking at the things that I feel insecure about, looking at the limiting beliefs and the triggers that pop up and addressing them, and also creating tools in my little inner growth toolkit that I can use to improve my body image. So now I'm going to dive into some of those things that I have implemented that I feel have really transformed my body image and have made me into someone that appreciates her body. I really think that I still have certain insecurities and I still sometimes struggle with my body image, even though I've really worked on it. But that's part of the journey. And just because you are not completely healed and you have no triggers or no insecurities, that doesn't mean that you're not growing. That doesn't mean that you can't implement tools that make you feel better and that improve your experience with your body, right? We're not aiming for perfection with this journey. I'm not aiming for perfection. I'm just aiming to become more and more kind, compassionate, gentle, loving, and accepting with myself. So the number one thing that I thought of when I was kind of like outlining this episode was really shifting my mindset around my body to see my body as my vessel. And this is something that I feel I kind of like came to in 2020 or 2021, but I want to say it was 2020. As I started to dive deeper into spirituality, understanding myself beyond my body, understanding that I am a soul living a human experience, and if it wasn't for my body, I wouldn't be able to live this human experience. And I really think this came to me when I read a book called Journey of Souls. And it talks about our soul's journey, how we go from one life to the other, and the lessons that we come to earth to learn. And I just love this book so much. And if you're someone who's into spirituality and who maybe identifies with this kind of like frame of thinking, you probably would really like this book too. But again, this doesn't really, I think, depend on your type of spirituality. It's just this broader understanding. But again, I don't think that what I'm about to share isn't going to resonate with you if you even don't believe in that, or if you're not someone who's very spiritual or religious or anything like that. I think it's just a more general concept that our body is the vessel that allows us to experience every single thing in this life that we enjoy. Pretty much, right? Whether that's traveling, whether that's exercising, whether that's eating food or listening to music or giving someone a hug or going on a walk or drawing or going to a concert. Literally every single experience that we have as humans is because of our body. And when I shifted to this perspective of like, wow, my soul chose this body to carry me through earth and through my experience as a human, it really shifted my perspective on my body in general, and it made me feel so much more grateful for my body. And that has helped me, outweigh any judgment that I feel towards my body, any insecurities, because it becomes kind of more insignificant when you really put it into context with what I'm telling you, right? And this is something I come back to frequently, and that helps me kind of like face my insecurities or bad body image days when they pop up. So that's the first thing that I think is really, really important, is coming to a place of feeling grateful for your body because of all the things that it allows you to experience. And that really ties into having gratitude and having appreciation and really looking at the little things that your body allows you to do. And I feel like sometimes this type of appreciation is easier or is more common whenever we get sick, right? And let's say you have like some congestion and you can't really breathe and you're coughing and you don't have energy. Once you get better, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful that I'm able to breathe properly. I'm so grateful that I have enough energy to go for a workout or a walk. Wow, I'm so grateful I can taste my food. We really kind of like reconnect with this gratitude when we kind of lose some of these experiences, even temporarily, like when we're sick, for example. And as a result of all of that, I think it's important to cultivate this type of gratitude as much as you can. And this doesn't have to be in any extreme way. It doesn't have to be every single day even. But I do think that long term, if you develop this type of appreciation, it does make your experience with your body way better. Something else that I wrote down as I was outlining is navigating comparison, because our generation is the first generation to have access to so much information, to so much content, to so many other people's lives, to so many other people's bodies at the literal reach of our fingertips, right? Constantly. Sometimes I catch myself and I'm just refreshing my feed over and over and over. And in that process, right, you're just constantly being exposed to external stimuli, to external information, to other people's lives, other people's worlds, opinions, etc. And when that is happening, that kind of causes you to subconsciously, sometimes not even like fully consciously, compare yourself to what you're seeing on your phone. And I remember that when I moved to the US, when I got my period, when I was describing my experience, when I like first became very aware of my physical body, I also remember that during that time, Instagram started to become a thing. Social media started to become more of a thing. Tumblr already existed, and Facebook too, but Instagram was new at the time. And everyone was downloading it. And at the time, like everyone was like putting a bunch of filters on their photos and face tuning their photos and editing them. And it was very normal. Nowadays, I feel like, at least in my circle and in my like social media circle and the content that I consume, I don't actively consume a lot of touched up photos or carousels. At least that's the way I feel. I feel like I see a lot of like people's real lives, but that doesn't mean that there isn't any comparison that happens, right? And I remember back then, because everything was so perfected on social media, it was even worse. But again, like that doesn't mean that comparison doesn't still happen now. And people are just getting phones and getting on social media younger and younger and younger in this generation, in the generations after me, because I'm 25 right now. So like there are people that are in their teens right now that like are being exposed to so much that like 20 to 30 years ago wasn't a part of our normal reality. And so we have to be very conscious of what we consume, because there's a lot of body checking on the internet. There's a lot of people telling you what to do to look like them. There's a lot of people that start their videos like flexing their abs in your face. There's a lot of people that still post just like endless bikini photos on their Instagram. Like there's a lot of content like that online. And I feel like that type of content is what tends to lead to the most comparison, which is why even like if I post a what I eat in a day or anything, I always come from the lens of like nutrition, and I never show like my abs, or not even that I even have abs, but like my stomach or anything like that in the first clip, because that's not relevant. Like that's not why I choose to share what I'm eating in a day. I'm just choosing to do that to give people inspiration on like how to eat protein packed meals and how to cook for themselves and how to live a balanced life and eat for their health and for their nutrition and their well-being and their energy, right? So I share what I eat in a day and what I eat in a weeks on YouTube, on Reels, but again, I don't do it from a lens of like trying to create comparison and trying to get you to like look and stare at my body. That said, this exists, and we have to be proactive about how we're going to choose to navigate it, because social media is not going anywhere. And if you're someone who is choosing to not be one of those people that is just like, I'm going to delete all social media and I'm never going to look at my phone again, which is, I think, a very small group of people. If you're not one of those people, you have to create adequate coping mechanisms and adequate strategies to how you approach social media in order to prevent yourself from falling into this comparison loop and looking at everyone else's like perfect little life and highlight reel and feeling bad about yourself. Because trust me, I've been there and I know it doesn't feel good. I know it doesn't. And something that I regularly do now is like, if something is triggering me and just causing me to fall to a negative loop or anything like that, mute or unfollow, or like hold down the video and tell Instagram like, don't show me more of this content, or like not interested, because that way you can curate an algorithm and curate a feed that feels good for you to enjoy and, click through every single day and every single week. Something else too that my therapist has helped me a lot is whenever comparison pops up and whenever you find yourself comparing your life to someone else's, you cannot compare your life to theirs and only look at the shiny parts and compare in isolation, as my therapist says, right? It's not like you can't just look at someone's life and say, oh, I wish we could just swap this aspect of our lives. No, instead ask yourself, would you swap everything in your life? Your mom, your dad, your siblings, your friends, your home, your entire lived experience, all the trips you ever went on, all of your memories, all of the things you own, literally every aspect of your human experience for that person's body. Would you swap everything? And I don't know about you, but the answer for me is always no. And that just really puts things into perspective. It's also important to really understand that you never know exactly what someone else is going through on the internet, on the other side of a screen. We only see a very small sliver of people's lives through social media. And so sometimes someone might be looking like, quote unquote, according to your ideal body type, or like what you wish your body would look like, but maybe there's many other areas of their life that are not that good, or where they're struggling. But maybe there are quite a few areas of that person's life where they are struggling and you don't know about it because people don't really like to showcase their shadow side and their insecurities and their struggles so publicly on the internet, even though a lot of people are becoming better able to be vulnerable and more open, especially I think in the mental health space and in the health space in general. This is not that common. Like when I see posts from like people I knew in high school or something, like someone who's not a content creator, they're posting pictures from when they went to someone's wedding or went on a trip or all the highlights of their year. Like people are not being like, yeah guys, like I'm really struggling with X, Y, and Z. So I think that's also important to remember when you are falling into a comparative loop. And just in general, I think comparison is never helpful, and we all know this, but you really have to stop yourself and you really have to reparent yourself and kind of place those limits, whether that's, as I said, like telling your algorithm what to show you, unfollowing or muting accounts or people or types of content, and really like don't watch the entirety of a video if that video is triggering for you, because that's communicating to the algorithm that you want to see that content and it will continue showing you that type of content. All right, I think that that's so important and I'm really happy I touched on it, and hopefully this is resonating, this is hitting, you're, feeling a little bit better already. But something else that I wanted to share, I think you probably haven't heard about, because a lot of people haven't heard about this. And I honestly had never heard about this until it popped up on my TikTok feed. And it really helped me better love my body and navigate my body image. Basically, there is something called the Kibby body types, okay? And I looked up the exact definition to read out to you guys. So here's how it's described. The Kibby body types are part of a system developed by David Kibby in the 1980s to categorize women's bodies based on a combination of physical traits, bone structure, body shape, and facial features, and overall essence or energy. Unlike traditional body types like pear or hourglass or apple, stuff like that, the Kibby system focuses on balancing yin, which is like softness or curves, with yang, sharpness and angularity. So basically, this is a way more comprehensive way of understanding your body. And I remember, when I first learned about this, if I'm remembering correctly, the reason that David Kibby created the Kibby body types was because he realized that just having like 5 general categories like hourglass, apple, pear, etc. wasn't enough to encompass body types, first of all, and also he wanted to create this body type method to help women better understand how to dress for their body type so that they could accentuate and honor the parts of their body. And I think what I really liked about the Kibby body types when I first learned about this was that this man, David Kibby, created it in an effort to help women better understand their bodies so that they could also find ways to dress and play around with fashion in a way that accentuated their body. And there are 13 different Kibby body types. So I would really encourage you to look them up because it's very nuanced, and because there's so many different little parts of the Kibby body types, I think it'll probably help you better understand the nuances of your own body. And I think there's a ton of different quizzes online that you can do, or you can just like look it up on the internet and then look at pictures of different like celebrities that he has kind of like categorized their body types so that you can see, okay, like my body is pretty similar to like this person's body. Oh, I must be this type. So I don't even know mine like for certainty because I don't think I ever took like a quiz, but I'm pretty sure that I actually have a romantic Kibby body type, which is more like curvy. But I have to look into it further because I actually don't know for sure. And there's a lot of content out there that you can use to understand this. The reason this helped me on my journey was because for a really, really long time, I had a very big challenge with accepting my curves, accepting that like I have this like very typical like Brazilian Latina type of body type with like bigger boobs, bigger hips, a bigger butt, bigger thighs, just like curves. And for a while, like it was an insecurity because I would look at other girls. I'm like putting myself on the spot here, but I don't care really because I do think that being vulnerable creates connection and can hopefully also like get you guys to understand my experience a little bit better. But I would look at other girls who have like no boobs and who maybe have more of like a yang body type according to the Kibby body types, and I would be like, oh, it's so frustrating that my body doesn't look like that, and that like I don't look as athletic, or that because I have bigger boobs I can't run like that girl, or you know, I maybe would fall to being like, oh, why do I have to wear 2 sports bras when I run, or stuff like that. And then I realized that one, there were probably a lot of women out there who were looking at my boobs or looking at my curves and maybe wishing that they had more of it. And I think that applies to any type of comparison. Like often what we sometimes compare about our bodies with someone else's, sometimes that other person or someone else would absolutely kill to have exactly what you have. So I don't know. Once I learned about this Kibby body type like model, I really just kind of made peace with my body. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I have curves and like I can dress in a way that is unique to me and unique to the way my body is, and that can help me feel comfortable and confident in my own skin. I don't have to change myself in order to feel better, and I don't have to look like someone else in order to feel beautiful. And I think that was really, really transformative. So I would encourage you to look it up. I also think our bodies change as we get older and as we navigate different parts of our life. So it's possible that, you know, in a certain phase of your life, maybe you would be more like one specific Kibby body type and maybe it would change. I don't know enough about this, but I do think that's probably possible. So also keep that as a consideration. But again, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't compare your body to past you, teenage you, 20-year-old you. Focus on the way you look now and the current like structure of your body right now in this moment. And work with it, because that's the best thing that you can do. Like use your body type to your advantage so that you can dress in a way that makes you feel good. And also just like play around with your personal style. I think that has really helped me also, you know, find more love and appreciation for my body, is finding different ways to dress and to express myself that I enjoy and that I like. Something else that I want to talk about when it comes to my body image journey, because it has played a big impact on my journey, is birth control and going off of birth control and connecting with my hormone health and with my menstrual cycle. And this will only apply if you're a woman, if you have a cycle. So if you're a guy listening to this, I'm sorry, you can skip this part. But as a woman coming to you as your podcast host, who is a woman and who has a period, this has really affected my body image, and it has played a big role in my life because I went off of birth control in March of 2021. So now almost 4 years. And I was on birth control since, I want to say, the summer of 2017. So I stayed on birth control for 4 years. And then now it's been 4 years that I have been off of birth control. And I was on the pill, then on IUD, then pill again when I was on birth control back in the day. But after I went off, so like most of 2021 and 2022, I experienced a lot of changes in my body. And I think birth control affects people's bodies differently. I think for me specifically, when I was on birth control, I felt like my body kind of looked more like, I don't want to say underdeveloped, but like I didn't have as many curves. And I do think that once I went off of birth control and my hormones changed, my body changed too. When I came more into my curves, my hips got a little bit bigger. And also like I got more into my 20s because I went off of birth control when I was 21, I think, right before I turned 22. And now I'm 25. I'm going to be 26 this year. So I do think that has also played a role. I also know for some people when they're on birth control, it causes them to like feel like they're retaining a lot of water, or maybe it causes them to gain weight. And then when they go off, like their weight changes. Like it can affect everyone very differently. But definitely for me, once I went off of birth control, because I wanted to reconnect with my cycle and I wanted to tune into that aspect of being a woman from a more connected lens, I had to embrace the changes that came along with it. And as I started to learn more about my cycle and and over time, I ended up making quite a few lifestyle shifts to better improve my hormone health. As you guys know, like something that I'm really big on is eating protein-packed meals. I also now eat breakfast like pretty much right away after waking up, like definitely within an hour. I don't have coffee before eating breakfast. I try to eat regular meals. I lift weights, which can really help with your, insulin levels, which is also a hormone and affects your other like menstrual cycle hormones. I pay more attention to my sleep. I also pay more attention to my stress levels. All of that affects our hormone health, and our hormone health affects the way we feel physically. And so that's something I've had to work on. And even though I've done all this stuff, you guys, like there are still some luteal phases where I'm really going through it. And now that I've been off of birth control for like 4 years, my expectation going into the second half of my cycle is that my body is going to look different. And 9 times out of 10, it does. I feel hungrier. I feel like I look a little more bloated. I feel like my face literally looks different. I know that I'm more emotional and sensitive. I know that my skin feels drier. Like all of that plays a role in my reality when I'm in my luteal phase. Like in the last 7 to 10 days of my cycle, right before I get my next period. Like every single time. Because now I've been, birth control free for like almost 1,000 days. Like I know this about myself, and that's my expectation. And I think that has given me more peace. And, it has allowed me to just understand, like, it's just a part of being a woman. And it's a beautiful thing. And the reason that my body changes like that is because I have a cycle. I was able to get my period back. And if you're someone who doesn't have one right now and you're in period recovery, I know it can sometimes feel like a frustrating journey, but I am here to offer any resources possible. I have a lot of content on my social media about this. And in general, I would encourage you to just trust the process and really educate yourself as much as you can. And I'm not going to dive into that as much today, but having a period and understanding your period and your cycle health is really important, because your period is like your 6th vital sign. It's a marker of your health, and understanding your cycle is understanding yourself as a woman. And the reason that we have a period is because as women, we have the power to bring life into this world. We have the power to become mothers, to literally birth a child. The only reason we're all living on this earth is because of women, is because of periods. Literally everyone, women and men alike. Like, that's the truth about being a human. And I think once I really understood that and I was like, oh my God, my body is so powerful. Like one day, hopefully I can be a mother and I can like bring life into this world. And I know that's going to come with its own set of challenges because our bodies change a lot, like through pregnancy, post-pregnancy, all of that. So we'll see how that goes once I'm there in the future. But in general, like if you really connect with that, like it's so mind-blowing. And I think just that is in itself a reason to appreciate our bodies. And, you know, if you're having a bad body image day because you're a little bit more bloated during your luteal phase or something like that, it's like, oh my God, the reason that I'm bloated is because I have a period. And the reason I have a period is because I can literally bring life into this world. Like, whew, mind blown, you know? So that's something that has helped me a lot. And I think it's something I think about often too. Now, the last point that I want to make, I also think is important, and I've kind of already touched on it, so it's more of a reminder than anything. And it is that as we get older, as our life changes, as we go through different seasons of life and different circumstances, our bodies are also going to change. And that can happen in like a micro level. For example, like I am coming off of like 4 months of my life where I had zero routine. I tried my best to like show up for my health and workouts and like eating healthy in between my travels, but like I was traveling every 2 to 3 weeks and I was in and out of the city for 4 months. Like I did not have the capabilities to have a regular workout routine and eat regular home cooked meals like I normally enjoy doing. As a result, yeah, my body's probably a little different, right? That's what I'm saying. Like on a micro level, it can happen. Like maybe you're going through like a stressful exam season and like for a month or something, you're not able to really have as much of a routine. Or you go through a major life transition, you moved, you went through a breakup, like whatever. Things happen in our lives and as a result, our bodies are going to change and that's normal. It's okay. It's a part of it. On top of that, we also experience macro changes in our life, right? So I will eventually, as I said, become a mom, hopefully. And once that happens, my body's going to change. My boobs are going to change. My stomach's going to change. My legs, my whole body's going to change. For sure. Like it's going to. I have that fully as an expectation. Eventually, you know, when I'm like 50 or something or more, I will go through menopause and my body will change. Or, you know, as I'm in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or however long I live, every single decade of our life, our bodies change. And that's literally human evolution, guys. Like that's human biology. It's the way things go. And I've really gotten real with myself about that in the sense of like, yeah, like I'm gonna eventually get gray hairs, which by the way, I already do, in case you didn't know. Like I literally dye my hairline every month because I get some grays. You know, we're gonna get wrinkles and like our bodies are going to change. And if we are constantly at the like mercy of societal pressures, we're never going to feel like we're enough. Because as women, we are the most criticized when it comes to our body image. We are under a lens, under, you know, a societal pressure where trends are always changing, body types that are in trend are always changing. So like stop living your life based on those things because they're always going to be a part of our reality as a woman, and you have to make the choice of defining for yourself what loving your body means. And at least for me, loving my body means letting go of the need to have this like eternal beauty and to never change. Like I know that one day I'm going to look older. That is normal. And so will you. And so will everyone else listening to this podcast. So just make peace with that as a woman. And I think that will really help you. There's nothing wrong with wanting to do things to help you feel your best, but just remember that it's a natural part of life. And so understand that like we go through these micro and macro shifts in life and our body changes. And we're going to have maybe moments of our life when our body looks a bit different. than it does right now, and that's okay. And that's helped me just accept the way that I look in this very moment, like my body image. And when I see my body in the mirror, like just looking at it with more neutrality, right? And not picking myself apart every single time I look in the mirror or every time I put on an outfit or something. Just understanding, like, again, in my luteal phase, like, I am probably not going to be able to feel as confident in certain outfits just because my body is going to look different. And so I can just wear different outfits that, like, make me feel more comfy or make me feel more at peace, more relaxed, and less hyper-focused on the way that I look. Just to summarize, right? Regardless of where you were coming from, remember that your body is your vessel. Connect with gratitude for your body and everything that it does for you. Understand that social media plays a big role in the way that we think about ourselves and our body, and choose to curate the content that you consume and engage with to benefit you and your body image. Understand your body type, maybe through the Kibby body types or through a different lens, so that you're able to work with it and not against it. If you are a woman, like, connect with your period and, like, learn to understand the way that your body changes. And, you know, for another thing I didn't mention is, like, I know that, like, on the day that I'm ovulating, my stomach looks completely different. Like, the way my body sits is totally different on an ovulation day. The way, again, my body looks during my luteal phase, etc. Like, learn how your body looks throughout your cycle, just so that you can manage your expectations and learn to appreciate your body, because it's so powerful. And again, like, this connects back to your body being your vessel. Like, it allows you to do things like bring life into this world, which is magical, and it deserves your appreciation. And also embrace the changes that you go through outside of your body, and understand that it's probably going to affect your body a bit, but no matter what your body looks like, it is lovable. It is beautiful. It is enough. You are enough. And again, I talked about this in my episode about how to feel good enough, but there's no definition for what enough is. You define that, really. And you don't even have to define that, because you don't have to be in a search for always being enough. You already are enough as you are. And thinking about yourself in that way can also really help you with your body image, because it removes, you know, this pressure on needing to look a certain way in order to be liked or loved. The people that you love in your life the most, I bet you it's not because they look a certain way. It's just because of who they are. And that's how other people feel about you too. So remember that, honor that. And yeah, I love you so, so much. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope this episode helped you. I hope it resonated with you. And I'm wishing you a beautiful rest of your day. Share this with a friend if you think it would help them. Give it a like on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, leave a comment, whatever you choose to do. I would love to hear from you. It's interesting being a podcaster because it's such a one-way platform. So feedback is always appreciated, and I would love to know how it landed with you. So thank you for listening. I love you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon. Mwah. Bye.